So this is the society, the Templars, that is going to become the most powerful organization in the world. It's got the best military. It is the richest organization. It lends money to kings. It starts modern banking as we know it. And it is polytheist at the core. And they bring an organizational structure back with them from the Middle East, from an organization called the Assassins, which comes out of the Sufis, out of the Islamic society. So it's the sort of the Gnostic side of Islam. It's the polytheist side. And they provide that organizational structure for the Templars after working and partnering with them for a long period of time in the Middle East. And they bring this organization back. So what that organization looks like is you have the secret order in the middle, or at the, at the center, and then at the bottom levels you have people who aren't totally immersed or have become adepts. So they're the initiates, and they're not at the adept level. So these are the adepts, the bloodlines. It's not whether I believe it or not. It's that they believe it and what they're doing with that information, and that's what you need to be concerned about.
So is that in Jerusalem, like the Dome of the Rock and Solomon's Temple? Is that where that's supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is one of the stumbling blocks about bringing about the end time, because you have to have that, and the sacrifice of the Jewish people taking place in the first 3.5 years. But what the secret societies and the bloodlines are trying to bring about is world government. So they need to bring about that Babylon within the Catholic Church to bring about universal religion that is going to permit that to happen, for the Jewish people to do the sacrifice, and to bring about the 10-king empire for the end time that is talked about in Daniel and Revelation for Christians. And that's why the Club of Rome that we talked about earlier has such an interesting connection, because they divided the world into 10 groups of nations, or spheres of influence, or trading blocks, whatever you want to call them, that will have one representative for that world government.
And they also created the enemy of the people, right? I mean, they wrote about creating global warming will fit that bill. So the Club of Rome is actually acting and pushing that towards a world government of whatever, taxes, some sort of world structure that can enable everybody to pay their fair share to stop this created enemy of the people.
Yeah, they created a lot of ideas, but it's the cattle herd people into the arms of the globalists who want to set up that world government into those 10 groups of nations. I mean, we see them trying to work it. They're getting pushback all of the time, but they're always working towards that goal. They also created the ideology of peak oil, which of course is now kind of
went away,
really debunked.
Yeah.
They created the overpopulation panic that went on for years. They're the author of a lot of these ideas that cross borders, that affect people around the world, and the answer is always globalization.
Yeah,
like coronavirus.
Well, we don't have any evidence on that. Whether or not it's whether or not it's been around for a long time, we just didn't know it, or it's a biological weapon, or it's a contrived catastrophe to bring about financial collapses and panic. It's not above their MO to do something about that. And I believe a lot of things that it's going to take to bring about these fantastic ideas like world government or universal religion is going to require catastrophes, and they'll be contrived catastrophes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot of them. I mean, if you were to have a nuclear explosion going off, or you would have an introduction of the aliens to the world as being, our partners or something, I mean, it changes everything in terms of being able to implement some of those ideas. And change happens through catastrophe.
Yeah, definitely. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
So, is there any way to combat it?
Yeah.
Is there any way to combat these fucking guys, or are they like, do we need to start our own religion?
Well, we can always push back, whether or not you're religious or not. You don't have to be Christian to say that putting that much power in so few people's hands that controls the world without any restraint only leads to a despot, which is Antichrist. So it doesn't matter what persuasion you come from, if you understand that globalization is not a good idea, I mean, people from all faiths and ideologies can push back. But they are powerful. They are so entrenched. They are so powerful, so much in control of every aspect that they have the ability to a certain degree to get people to accept ideas, and people don't ask good critical questions, so they're easily deceived. And they continue to ramp this propaganda up as we go, which means we need to understand that they feel that they're getting close.
Yeah. So I have a couple other questions.
I kind of agree with them.
Yeah. On them, or that they're getting close?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they're switching gears from certain things to other things.
Think so?
Yeah.
What sort of things?
Like from global warming to pandemics, or I don't know. I mean, or alien. I mean, the disclosures happening.
This is why you got to share the show, people. This is how we push
maybe
back.
It's a multi-pronged. Maybe it's a multi-pronged approach.
This is why you got to share the show. Support the show. Grimerica.ca/support, so we can keep pushing back with Gary Wayne.
Well, you know, the Planet of the Apes is more of an allegory. It's an older, more simplistic allegory, and what it really sort of goes back to the ideology is that humans are a mundane race, and they're not really capable of running this world without destroying it. And so you need the offspring of the gods or a superior race to come in and take over. And that's what happens when mundane people run the world. And
right.
So, I mean, their allegory of these ape-like creatures is, one of the first sort of real entertainment overlays. And what's interesting about the apes is that they are very hairy creatures, right? Well, you understand the Nephilim mythos, or the giant mythos, and the Rephaim after the flood. But Theosophy was created by, guess who? The Rosicrucians, who have the religion of Gnosticism and this global cosmology of reuniting all of the ancient religions around the world, because they all believe that it came from the same base religion. But they created Theosophy in preparation for Francis Bacon's New Atlantis. And Theosophy was the religion, and they wanted to change it from Gnosticism so that they wouldn't get as much heat from the Catholic Church. And it was designed to be a religion that would bridge science and religion for the end time. And incidentally, Francis Bacon, he wrote the book New Atlantis, and he is the inspirational founder for the Royal Society. And his painting to this day hangs with two other ones in the entrance to the Royal Society, because he's the inspirational founder. And of course, he was a Rosicrucian.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and that would go with the OTO as well, and some of the more sort of like darker maybe organizations, or what people think are.
Yeah, I mean, depending on I mean, there's so many of them, right? So they're sort of offshoots, but they would sort of report back in that same kind of hierarchy, and they're going to be controlled through the various secret societies, and depending on how powerful they are and how far of an outreach, where they'll intersect up that route that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So like the Jesuits, for example, have a very significant role, and they're going to report right into the Rosicrucians to the pureblood level. And so the Theosophy would do the same thing. So, Blavatsky, who creates Theosophy in the 1870s, she's from several Rosicrucian type orders that are based around the Egyptian religion model of the secret societies.
Yeah. So. Interesting. And that, I mean, some of that stuff goes all the way back to Hermes, right? I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, what people don't understand, and again, I cover a lot of time and territory in the book, but in the beginning of the world with humans, and then you'll have the creation of the giants into the 6th generation of that, according to biblical chronology. You have a world where you have the gods or the aliens or the fallen angels intersecting with humans. And you have a development of something called the 7 sacred sciences.
Yeah, it's good that we should
know.
Yeah, we should get into that sort of where it sort of splits off way back then. Yeah.
Yeah, because it'll explain a lot.
Yeah.
And we would know that as the 7 liberal sciences today that is taught in university that came about at the time of the Royal Society by the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians. And they called themselves the last of the sorcerers and the first of the scientists. And I know a lot of seculars don't want to hear, but you need to know who's behind the curtain here. And so you have this 7 sciences that are going to be developed from a source. And according to Freemasons, that goes back to Adam. And a fellow by the name of Albert Mackey, who wrote The History of Freemasonry in the 1800s, is one of the Masonic modern patriarchs that people sort of look to. Pike would be another one for an example. But Albert Mackey put in a book a law that was in the Polychronicon, which is the oral tradition of the Masons that go back into prehistory. Not all of it, but a lot of it for lower level Masonry. So you don't have all of it, you get some of it. And what they say is the knowledge that Adam was taught in Eden, in their case they would say by the gods, not by the God of the Bible, but he's taught things like agrarian principles and everything around that so that he can run the Eden garden. And he starts using this knowledge that he learned from Adam. And then he has a son named Enoch, and he names the first city after Enoch. And there's 2 Enochs in the Bible. It's Enoch, son of Cain, and Enoch, son of Jared of the Seth line. So 2 Enochs. And the 2 genealogies look quite a bit the same as you would enunciate it. But he's the one who develops the knowledge as they're expanding and having more children and more generations, and separates this knowledge into the 7 sacred sciences, as they call it in Masonry, which merges with the knowledge of the fallen angels in about the 6th generation, when the descendants of Cain and their daughters are going to be prepared and volunteer to cohabitate with fallen angels to create the giants and the demigods. And this knowledge that they have developed is now going to be brought along at an extraordinary pace by this illicit knowledge provided by the gods. So it puts it on steroids, kind of what we're seeing today, developing very, very quickly. And to protect this knowledge that Enoch is developing, and then will be used to partner with the Nephilim to take over the antediluvian world before the flood, and which we'll do again right from Babel forward after the flood, he's going to develop 2 significant organizations. One being the mystical sun-worshipping religion, which dominates all of polytheism in prehistory, and the mystery schools or the secret societies that Freemasonry and Masonry takes their history back to. And they'll develop through the mystery schools this knowledge, which is the knowledge of Gnosticism or gnosis or knowledge. So it's occult knowledge, which is why they're so focused on the pursuits of thought, and why they would create the Royal Society in 1660, again, to pursue the pursuits of thought, to develop the knowledge the way it was in the Golden Age, before the evil God of the Bible, as they would put it, destroyed the world, to start again, because the giants had basically corrupted the whole world. When I say corrupted, I won't go into the Hebrew word for this audience, but it wasn't just the violence. It was corruption of all the animals, corruption of humans, the corruptions of the plant genomes, with technology and knowledge that we're only now starting to develop. So we can imagine what we're talking about by the corruption level. And I think that's why God brings actually the animals to the ark, because he knows which ones aren't corrupted, right, to start anew, and selects the 8 people on the boat. And this is the whole sort of history that the whole world takes himself back to. And if you look at what causes the flood, again, it's in all cultures all around the world. And it's usually the same cause. You have the giants and you have humans. The giants become corrupt and they rebel against the gods, and the gods come along and they have the flood, and then you start all over. And it's the same story everywhere. It's just a matter of how you want to analyze that yourself and whatever your perspective is.
So Enoch, there's a correlation you make in the book about Enoch and Hermes and Thoth. Is it the three? Is that, or who's the
Hermes,
third?
the Trismegistus.
Yeah,
the three Hermes. And
yeah.
So that's become kind of an archetypical type of figure, sort of melded in. But typically they break it down that there's three different Hermes, and that is connected to Enoch, son of Cain.
Right, right.
So, and it would be the one before the flood that would be called Enoch, but he's called like Idris and Edris and a whole bunch of other names all around. Tout would be another one. Mercury would be another one as the equivalent to Enoch in other cultures. And usually an intermediary between gods, and is actually raised to be a god level in most of the mythologies. And as third Enoch talks about with Metatron, which he changes his name to, which is apparently the name of this individual that is feeding information to scientists and stuff today in terms of AI and quantum mechanics. The name Metatron will come up. So if you Google Metatron, you'll probably get some information on that. And so you have
cube.
Pardon me?
Metatron's cube.
Yep, exactly. And so you have the Thoth, which is the god of knowledge in the Egyptian pantheon that you're talking about. And so it's thought that there was a god that introduced the knowledge, and that would be like Azazel, which would be the main one out of the book of Enoch, and Thoth in the Egyptian pantheon. I won't go through all the different names, and then you had a demigod, which Enoch would be. And they would have been part of the Sumerian kings list of the gods before the flood. They've got names that sort of that they link that up, and that, you know, as you go through the Sumerians kings list. So you have kind of lost my train of thought there in terms of.
Well, I was just mainly interested in how Hermes connected with Enoch.
Right, really, back to Hermes. So the second one would be Enoch or Hermes before the flood. Yeah. Known by a bunch of different names. And then after the flood, you have Hermes that shows up after the flood and is the one that is what most of the secret societies, Gnostics, would trace their modern Hermes back to. And he's the one who finds this ancient knowledge that is buried under the pyramids, because he finds the two pillars of Lamech from the Cain line, or the pillars of Enoch, depending on which version you're looking at on that. And the knowledge that Enoch had learned was produced into 36,525 books stacked on 9 vaults, buried under the pyramid. These two pillars give directions to where to find it. He brings that back to Babel and to Nimrod, and they start building Babel City and Babel Tower, and that is sort of the first application of the sciences after the flood. Wow. And then you have a later one that is attributed to developing alchemy in Egypt, and so you have like 4 different individuals, depending on which version, but they usually pick 3 of them. So it's either 2 after the flood, 1 before the flood, or you've got a god and you've got Enoch and an Enoch equivalent, and then 1 after the flood that's, you know, is very much part of the Egyptian religion after the flood. And in that line of thought from the Gnostics is that Hermes travels to Egypt to develop, with Mizraim, to develop the Egyptian society and the Egyptian religion, and Nimrod stays in Shinar, which is Sumer, and develops the Mesopotamian religion, or the Magi's, as you might recognize them of in terms of the priesthood.
Wow, fantastic. Do you have any questions? Because I got a couple to read here, Darren, but I want to give you a chance to chime in.
No, you can go ahead. Yeah, I'm just enjoying.
I got a couple odd ones. So here, this is an email from Graham. He knew we were having you on. He says, I recently heard Dr. Michael, and this is just kind of a loose thought, but I found it very interesting. I recently heard Dr. Michael Hesser, or Heiser, worth checking him out. Yeah, mention how obviously Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, and that he believes Revelation 12 could hold the key. He said it clearly shows astrological alignments and points to Jesus being born, wait for it, on September 11th.
The standard birth date of December 25 is not Jesus' birth date. That date comes up at the time of Constantine and the homogenization of Christianity with Mithraism to form the state religion. And that is the birth date of Mithras and Sol Invictus. And it's basically the same religion, but it's the main religion of Italy at that time. And he's trying to unite the empire. So we're not given a date when Jesus is born in the Bible. But what we do know is it can't be December 25th because that's the rainy season. And anybody who knows the biblical story is the shepherds are in the field and they would be in the stables if it was December 25, and Jesus wouldn't have been able to be born in a manger. So the typical conclusion then, and Heiser is of the same understanding as I am on this from as I recall, is that September to early October would place the birthday. Revelation 12 does have an allegory in there in terms of when Jesus is born and the Satan is going to attack the offspring of the 12 tribes and everything like that. That is a prophecy of the people fleeing Judea at the time of the abomination, at the rise of Antichrist, because it's Antichrist and Satan who are going to be attacking the fleeing Judeans, which is recorded in Daniel, Matthew, Mark, and Luke as well. So you got to overlay that and understand that you're not going to use astrological signs there. It's actually telling a story that you can match up with other scripture and gives you a timeline, and they're going to be protected for 3.5 years, and it gives the number of days that they're actually going to be protected as you move into the millennium. So it's interesting how it came up with the September 11th date in terms of getting there, but I would be careful for.
So we live in this materialistic world right now. Like we're still under this physical paradigm where we're stuck in. I think we're stuck in a schizophrenic society where most of us believe in love and spirits and all kinds of things, yet we're stuck in this materialistic paradigm that says none of that exists. The atheists and the skeptics kind of rule the roost still right now, even though it's falling apart. So how does the occult and mystic foundation and practice in these secret societies, like all those secret societies you mentioned, believe in some kind of polytheistic or metaphysical reality that are supposedly running the world? How do they account, or how do we account for this materialistic and atheistic paradigm that still seems to be prevalent?
Well, it's only in the West.
Well, that's a good point.
So if you look at the rest of the world,
that's true.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
And you have to understand one of their goals is to bring down Christianity. And they look at, in the West, that Christianity is their biggest enemy, which is why you have 2 genocides of Christians in the end time. And so what they did in the beginning, which will make sense, so I want to go back to Genesis, back to Enoch, back to the creation of the 7 liberal sciences. As you go back into the prehistory, what they say they wanted to do with the rebellious Cain, who had not forgiven God for ostracizing him, he wanted to lead people away from God. He didn't want to honor God for anything, and he did not want to give God credit for anything, and he wanted to build monuments and to honor his pantheon of the God. It's all designed to lead people, Christians, Westerners, away from the Christian church in preparation to taking them down with the evidence that they say they'll provide to destroy Christianity and fold it in, not totally destroy it, but fold it into their polytheist religion that they want to install on the world. So it's a tactic and a ways. At some point in time, they're going to say, you know what, I can't believe you guys, they won't actually say it this way, but they'll say, I can't actually believe you believed in evolution because it's mathematically impossible, but guess what? Here's how things really happen.
Yeah. I don't know if I should ask this question. It's a little bit...
edgy? You're going to get edgy?
You're going to get a little edgy, yeah.
Ooh, Graham gets edgy.
So where do these contemporary conspiracies, like... like Young Blood or Adrenochrome or Pizzagate, like a lot of this, like there's a lot of I mean, like the last, and I guess that kind of leads into, well, no, maybe it shouldn't lead it. Maybe it shouldn't lead it. Well, yeah, vampire. I know, but it's like, it's connected vampires, somehow, right?
Vampires is really good, but so let me take the easy one first. So let's say Pizzagate, for example, which was that's misinformation.
Yeah,
and that's coming out from the secret societies, but it doesn't mean the basic essence of what is being talked about
is wrong. It's not happening. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the secret societies and in the ancient rituals, which include blood drinking, which they still do today, I mean, they do sacrifices and they do sexual rituals and they do all of this pedophilia and things like that as part of that ancient religion. Okay. But the Pizzagate thing, it's like, if you want to, discredit the alien mythos, then you put out all of these false alien things, and it's, it buys you some time until you're ready to deal
disclosure.
With that. Yeah. So it's, again, common tackle. And you get Antichrist figures in most traditions around the world. So you might be familiar with Lord Maitreya.
Yep.
Or the new Buddha out of Eastern mysticism. You have the Mahdi out of the Shia. And you have, even in the West, you have, and they will say in their writings that they keep 3 Antichrist figures ready to go all the time. So they're always ready. And you've got all these different bloodlines that we're talking about that are competing, and they're the ones who want to be the one that gets their family on that world throne.
Right.
So you've got all of those competing factions. So again, I'm not going to make a prediction because inevitably anybody who makes predictions is always wrong. But I would certainly put at the head of some of the list is some of these family names that they're trying to position themselves for, but we won't know which one until it actually comes about, and there'll be some misdirection as we go.
Yeah.
And so
it could be from the east or the west. Like, I mean, I was going to ask you about the conflicts between the different royal bloodlines from whether it's China, Japan, or the West or Europe, or I mean, there's seems to be like they would be constantly in a power struggle for the world, really. Do you think that whole giant thing is really starting to break open now? It seems like over the last 3 or 4 years, people are really talking about it, and like talking about the Smithsonian conspiracy and the bones that have been found. Physical evidence doesn't seem to be as crazy sounding as it was 4 or 5 years ago.
No, they're still controlling the information on it, but there's so much more information that is coming out on it. A lot more people who are researching it and getting deeper and making more links. And that was one of the things with my book that broke a lot of new ground in connecting more dots on who these people are, what their belief system is, and so there's and again, there's people now that are taking that research and going further with it. So yeah, I do think it's coming out more in the open for sure.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm going to keep our eye on that for sure. That's one of my favorite topics.
So if you do, and if the audience wanted to ask questions in the chat, I mean, I do shows that are just I answer questions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we appreciate that. I had too many. I was greedy tonight. I had too many of my
Greedy
own.
Graham Dunlop. Yeah, that's what we say around here. Greedy Graham. We're just kidding. We love him.
Thanks,
right
buddy.
on, Gary. Thanks for coming on the show. Come back anytime.
I will.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
I'm more interested in what you guys thought of that. That was our chat with Gary Wayne. D-Ron.
Well, I think it's safe to say Gary's not the Antichrist. What a wonderful man.
Yeah, unbelievable, eh? Yeah. You know what I appreciate about it? It was very, like Bill, one of our friends Bill in the chats was saying how, it's obviously got a Christian bend to it. But it's not a dogmatic Christian bend, right? It's not like he's telling you. He just lays it all out there like he says, right? All the dates and all the names and all the connections and all that. But it's not like he's pushing Christianity on you or anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it definitely talks about the spurious. Like, there's definitely a bend of, there's the Jesus bloodline and then the spurious bloodline of all the secret societies and all that, which we didn't really get into too much of that split, but it's interesting.
That was a great chat. I wasn't sure what to take about it with what some of the stuff you're telling me going into it. I was expecting maybe to be a little more religious, but I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Like
it was
I said,
a good,
very
like,
non-dogmatic.
Who's who of the Illuminati?
Yeah,
sort of,
that's. I mean, I hope you guys appreciated that. I don't know if
we should get him and Charlie Robinson on at the same time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the knowledge, like how people can just spout all that knowledge is
it's incredible.
Amazing to me.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
incredible.
Well, they're not on they don't got the wheat brain.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Brain fog.
The brain fog, the wheat brain fog.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's just glowing too, he's glowing with it.
He's popping.
Yeah.
I think you should do the audiobook, buddy. Then you'll have that shit locked in.
No, there's no way. It's impossible.
No way. I just told him you'd do it.
6-page chapters.
I just told him you'd do it.
I'm telling you. If you even browse,
I'm not
just
the
browse it. Just
I'm
read
not
the
a narrator.
chapter.
All right.
Read the chapters.
I can't. That's
read the
copyright
chapter.
infringement.
Read the chapter.
Yeah, but
why
he
was
said
Israel reared in Egypt into a nation of a
right away. See what I'm talking about?
I was just messing with you.
Well, he said he got a few quotes, and he was just blown away by how expensive it was. So.
Yeah.
We could do it for $1,000 or less. That might be a good royalty one. Big thanks to all you guys for listening. Big thanks to Michael for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, big thanks to the supporters, Grimerica.ca/support. If it wasn't for you guys, there would be no show. It would have stopped probably like 350 episodes ago. But we do have supporters, so we kept going. Now we'll be at like 410, 420 coming up. Maybe we'll do another call-in show for 420. We'll see. Anyway, buy Gary's books. Support the show so that we can keep pushing back on these motherfuckers. And maybe get some swag. Grimerica.ca/swag. One of the most important things you can do, though, join the chats. Grimerica.ca/chats. Once you got in there, then we really got a grip on you and we can pull you the rest of the way into the cult. Just kidding. It's not a cult. It's just a wonderful community.
It's a Grimerica camp.
It's a cult. It's a Grimerica cult. Grimerica.ca/support. Please. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
33.
I love how 33 was in that too. It's incredible.
Totally. So the new computer worked great.
Yep.
Yeah, really.
It sounded good. It did make a difference.
Totally.
Yeah,
we'll have to do a little
call.
cash call in the next
That was a
intro,
good
see
call,
if we can
yep.
drum up $300 to pay for it.
That really did make a big difference. So.
Sweet.
And you need that. I think we need that dedicated Skype computer.
100%.
We really do. Like
Yeah, it makes a
ever
big
since
difference.
we made that change a few years ago, it really made a big
That made a big difference, and now the stream's been holding up well since. The interesting thing is that we run the show completely on Windows now.
Wow. Yeah. And here we are with two little Macs
Yeah.
and our iPhones.
Check this
It's
out,
like, hey,
Michael.
Mac's good for your personal stuff.
I got this little sliding fucking camera cover.
Oh, sick. Where?
I should have bought you one
You
too.
should
I'll
show
buy you
me.
one tomorrow. That's Staples. I bought Graham
really?
one this time, yeah.
Oh, I
I'll
can
buy
just
you
run
one.
over to Staples and get it.
It's in like the checkout part.
Cool.
You know how even you got the little like grab you, get you items on the way to the till?
They
It
all
was in
got
there.
that now. Eh? That's
Yeah.
just full blown scientifically.
I went
Yeah.
there today actually just to buy that card converter.
And you bought a
they
whole
roped
bunch of
me
stuff.
in. No, just that and these two things. I seen those things and I was like, that's so much cooler than tape.
Yeah. I've
Anyway,
been wondering how come it's taken forever to find them. I guess
fuck,
just don't.
how
look
did we
the-
not invent that? That could have
I
a
invented
fucking
that
Really-
a decade ago. It's
Really,
just-
there's a little Wi-Fi thing in there or something, and they're actually like zooming in with the cam, and
totally.
It's like a zoom in. It's the
you
infrared.
close it, and it just goes.
It's the infrared.